how's it going? We're back with another live stream, and you know how we start these things off with some promotions or however you want to call them. But for those of you guys who do not know, the little bell icon next to the subscribe button will give you notifications for any time I go live, post a video, or comment anything on here, which I do all three of those, so you don't want to miss any of that. But without further ado, probably the biggest news yesterday, I think it happened, before the Pistons game. How's it going, man? The Lions signed C.J. Anderson. This is a very sneaky good move by the Lions. What's up, Dre? How's it going? You get a legit backup running back for this team. A legit one. He took away carries from Gurley in the playoffs. He averaged about 4 yards per rush, which that is very good. And I know he didn't really get a lot of attempts. He only had 400 yards in the season last year, but crap, I just lost my train of thought. He was only there for part of the year. He wasn't there all year. He took away a lot of Gurley snaps in the playoffs for mysterious reasons. We don't know if Gurley was hurt or what have you, but nonetheless, he still averaged 4 yards per game. I don't care if you run for 100 yards, 2,000 yards, 4 yards per carry is really good. This is going to take a lot of pressure off of two people on the offense. That's going to take a lot of pressure off of Stafford, number one, because now you have two solid running backs with more moves to be made with Zenner and Theo Riddick. We don't really know where they're going to be fitting in quite yet, but it also takes a lot of pressure off of Carrion. Carrion probably is going to stay around 15 snaps, not snaps, but carries a game, which you don't want to work this guy to death. I give him a solid A. They have done way better than anyone expected them to do this offseason. And I already know we're going to get a couple good players in the draft because we've drafted well under Quinn. I don't think he's going to be more than 15. They really don't want to work this guy to death. I understand it, and I know if I had it my way, he'd have it 20, 25 times. But watch what's going to happen between him and Saquon Barkley. Saquon is going to have to carry the ball 20 to 25 times and rush for 2,000 yards to even make the Giants a playoff team. His career is going to be very similar to probably Barry Sanders. Have great numbers, but he's going to be run to death and beat up, and he's going to have to retire early. While on the other hand, if we're smart, we start building pieces around Stafford and Kerryon Johnson, the two building blocks, and they're going to be more of a long-term player than what Barkley would be. Sports media doesn't like Detroit teams at all. At all. It doesn't matter. Pistons, Wings, Tigers, Lions. If we get an AAF team with Eminem buying it, however that's going to work, doesn't matter. We don't get any love from anybody. We're used to it. But the Lions have done some solid moves, some very solid moves. I haven't been disappointed in one move that we've done. And the way it is continuing, we might make another signing because the CJ signing pretty much came out of nowhere, under the radar move. It's because we're not fancy. You know, we're not LA or Miami or any of these big cities that are fancy and flashy. We're gritty and not very, I don't want to say not clean, but Detroit's just not a place people go to on vacation. It's motivation for us. It really is. I mean, you get people like Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, people like Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, all these players that are great. Some of the best players at their positions, at their sport, and they don't get the coverage they would if they would play in LA. You look at when Blake Griffin, just for an example, played with the Clippers, got so much more publicity. If he said on the Clippers this season, I guarantee you his name would be in the MVP race. But because he's here in Detroit and we don't get any love, no one wants to talk about it. I mean, there are famous people who forgot about Blake Griffin, like celebrities and all these people who are just now starting to realize that Blake Griffin's having a good season. And with a franchise like the Lions that haven't won anything since the 50s, I mean, I understand it, but the Cleveland Browns are getting more publicity. The Browns. Now, the Browns are going to be a good team and all. I'm not knocking the Browns. But, come on, you got to put some respect to Detroit's name. Detroit right now is probably, without making any more moves, the second team in the NFC North and is going to be running for the NFC North Division title. And I know we say that every year, but this year actually feels really different. The whole locker room and just hearing Patricia talk to the media, he seems so much more comfortable, relaxed, and ready to go. He's gotten his guys, he's gotten the players' respect, and this is going to shock the NFL world. And I'm not saying like I'm not gonna get carried away and saying we're going to the playoffs, which that should be our goal is to go to the playoffs because if not, that puts a hectic on a lot of stuff. But you have to do good this season. And I'm loving everything that from Bob Quinn to Patricia to all the guys coming here. I love all what they're saying. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you're Stafford, the highest paid player on the roster, or the ball boy, all the way down, everyone wants to win. And I know people criticize Stafford, and without going too much further into that, he is a quarterback at the end of the day who wants to win. He hasn't complained about Patricia or firing the guy that he wanted to keep. His numbers dipped, and he didn't hear a word out of it. His numbers might not be blockbuster this season. It's going to be a different Stafford. He's going to be a game manager. We're going to be very run heavy. Thing with the run, though, it opens up play action and deep shots down the field, which is what Stafford's really good at. When he threw for 5,000 yards, we took a lot of deep shots. He's got the arm for it. In the last couple of seasons, we haven't been using him the right way. He has a cannon for an arm, and you have to use it. But he's going to be a game manager. The defense is probably going to be the best aspect of this team overall, just because we have a defensive coach, and that's the way he's built this roster up, which is I wouldn't want to have it no other way. I've said this in other streams and previous videos that it's about time the Lions had a defensive identity. It's just Detroit. That's what makes Detroiters is a tough defensive team. Thirsty. We've tried, and we've tried to have flashy offenses, and it really doesn't look to how we expected. We've had Barry Sanders, we've had Calvin Johnson, not knocking any of those guys, two of the greatest players of all time. But without having a defense to really back them up, both Stafford and Barry Sanders probably had a top 10 defense in the league maybe once in their careers. And both of those times, both those teams went to the playoffs. Barry Sanders' team was very good. Very good. Stafford's team just wasn't complete yet. And I feel like we blew that team up too quick. I feel like if we would have kept that alone a little bit longer, that we could have had a better success than what we did. But that was statistically Stafford's best year. And he hasn't gotten close to that yet because offensive line hasn't held up. We've lost the run game. We are finally starting to rekindle that drive for the run game. This season, we should average close to 100 yards per game. Probably high 90s, just for carry on. But overall, probably should be about 160. That's kind of where you want to strive. That's very good, especially if he's only going to get 15 carries. That's very efficient from carry on getting 100 yards per game. But he's a guy that, at the end of the day, if he doesn't have a good game, we're going to kind of be in trouble offensively. Galladay and Jones is going to be a good receiving duo, but it's not going to be as good without Golden Tate being there. So the defense has a lot of pressure on them, especially since the offense is unproven. Bonus points for the defense is keeping their coach, their defensive coordinator, so they know the playbook. The offensive playbook is changing again, and it's probably going to be a little bit more complicated than Jim Bob Cooter, although that would have been saying whoever we hired would have been changing the offensive playbook because, God damn it, that was awful. How's it going, Bravo? What is going on? But times are changing for the Lions, and I like it. And I didn't have a problem last year with the losing record. It was frustrating at times, I know. But sometimes you have to fail before you can succeed and learn from your mistakes. No one just starts coming into this league perfect. I don't care who you are. Even Tom Brady, he wasn't even an early draft pick. But he did go to, like, the 7th round, 6th round? He wasn't even that good to start out with. But he went to the right place, the right fit, and he probably the best quarterback of all time, if not one of the greatest NFL players of all time, debatably. Not everything is polished from a turd to a golden crown. It takes time to build stuff. We got guys that are coming over from winning cultures. Most of them Patriots. I understand the frustration there because you're just basically hiring the Patriots. But we're trying to establish an identity and a motto and just a culture overall of what it takes to succeed and how to be a winning team. Because the Lions have been a laughingstock for years. And every time you get somebody good, a Sue or whoever, they always leave because the front office is really the main problem. You can't keep people, make bad decisions, draft bad players, and all that's changing for the better. We haven't, since Bob Quinn, drafted terrible. We've gotten good, solid players and efficient players, some of the most efficient players in the league, both offensively and defensively. So adding free agents the way you've done, obviously Trey Flowers is still the biggest one, who's probably going to help Darius Slay be a leader on the defense. Obviously, Slay is going to be the leader for the secondary, and Flowers is going to be the guy up front in the trenches, just calling plays, calling things out, and motivating people. This defense, man, can be really scary. I mean, just think about Snacks coming into his own, man. I mean, he's underlooked. Not undervalued, underlooked. You got Snacks, Flowers, and Slay. That's really your big three. And not to mention Hand and Robinson all on the defensive front. Man, this defense can be top 10, top 5 this season. No doubt. No doubt about it. As for the Pistons, losing to the Pacers, I seen a comment about it. Let me go back up. Oh, not too far. It depends if Blake Griffin plays Wednesday. I wasn't really stretching out over the Pacers, and I was going to talk about, I don't know if I did. I can't remember if I talked about it. But I was thinking about the Pistons should probably let the Pacers win both those games so they can move up and become the 6th seed again. But unrealistic. Philly's pretty much got the 3rd seed locked up. They're one game away from having 50 wins. And unless we fall to 7th or 8th, we're going to have to play them, which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really excited about that. That was the least favorited matchup in my opinion. I really didn't want that at all. But it is what it is. Detroit's motto, don't back down from anybody. And again, man, that should go to 6 games at least. We'll probably lose both of them in Philly, win both in Detroit, and probably lose the next 2. Again, the Pistons, man, they're just not ready yet. They're still good playoff team, but they're a piece or two away from being really good. Really good. Obviously, first concern there, small forward. You play small ball, and it hurts a little bit. But again, overall, your team's all right. You got some young pieces to build for the future, which that's always what you want to do. I'm really strong about 4-2 no matter who we play. I don't care if we play Toronto, Milwaukee. Any game should go to at least 6. Although, man, I'm going to be honest. If we just won one playoff game, that is an improvement over, what has it been, 10 years? Something crazy like that. I just want one win. I want to see one win. at least. But I really think no matter who we play, we can get 2. No matter what. I just didn't want to play Philly because the officials call everything Philly's way. Embiid gets any call he wants. And they're a really tough team to guard. 1 win's all you need. Because between this offseason, next season, you have a lot of money coming off the books. And if you can show the free agents and the fans that you are serious about winning and that you can actually win playoff games, you can draw free agents. You're going to get recognition from the league. Look at what happened when we went and got swept by the Cavs. I mean, everyone was talking about it because it was the most competitive sweep of all time. It was really weird. But our name was out there and people wanted to come here. Winning 1 game would be incredible. Yeah, no matter, we're not getting swept, man. This team has got too many veteran players, too many good players to get swept. Like they're not the same team under Stan Van Gundy. I understand Van Gundy's team that got swept. They were young, had a bad coach, and just weren't ready. Dwayne Casey will get this team ready to play. So I'm not really worried about it. That's going to be Zaza's job. Zaza's going to have to hurt Embiid. Bruce Brown's just there to shut Jimmy Butler down to his best of his ability. But again, man, Tobias Harris is probably going to go off that whole series. He is going to be a problem for us. Drummond's going to do his best to stop Embiid, but he's probably getting in foul trouble a lot. Blake Griffin is going to struggle guarding Tobias Harris if Blake Griffin's healthy. But again, I'm not rushing Blake Griffin back. We're still in a spot where we're all right. Everyone losing last night in the playoff race helped the Pistons because you still have the same amount of lead in game-wise in front of everybody. So there's no reason to rush Blake Griffin back. Make sure he's 100% healthy before you bring him back because we still almost beat Indiana. We play them again on Wednesday, tomorrow night, and it's going to be another close game like that. But this time, the ball probably should bounce Detroit's way just because they're in Detroit. But again, don't rush Blake back, man. Give him time. I'm not sure how serious it is. I don't think it's anything too bad, but you never know. That's what's going to happen. You got to play this team 4 times in a week and a half. I mean, I guarantee you one of those games, Ellington's going to hit 4 or 5 threes. It's just a matter of time. When you play a team that many times, you find out what you can do. Dwayne Casey's going to adjust his game plan, and he's going to get guys the positions they need to do to be effective. But at the same time, you got some guys like Bruce Brown and Luke Kennard who haven't played in the playoffs. So there might be some little jitters. You're going to have Luke Kennard have a big series off that bench to be really good. If Wayne Ellington can score about 15 a game and Luke Kennard can score about 15 off the bench, you should be in a pretty good spot. But I think it's probably going to stay the way it is right now, where at periods, Luke Kennard goes off and he's hot, and then Langston Galloway goes off and he's hot. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. How much do I think it's going to happen? I don't know, because they are streaky. But some of those big games, man, Ellington and Galloway just step up to the big games, and they go crazy. Biggest problem is consistency with this team. Playoff basketball, it's different than regular season. Not everyone's just hoisting up threes, though. You're going to have to run a lot of pick and rolls. Nobody can shut Drummond down. There's not a guy out there who's going to stop Andre from getting rebounds and getting down low. I don't care who you are. He's just that good of a player. No one's going to completely shut Blake Griffin down. You got to play those guys at least 4 times. We know those guys are going to get their numbers and produce. Reggie Jackson has to stay as hot as he's been over the stretch of games. He really needs to be efficient and not take some dumb shots. that shot last night where he airballed a 3 really took the air out of everybody. He might be on purpose. I don't know. Dude, he's so fragile. I wouldn't put it past him, but I'm not knocking it because he's always hurt. Always. He might be the next Greg Oden. I mean, he's seriously like one injury, like serious injury away from being done. Which you can say that about anybody. I mean, anyone can have a terrible injury and be done. But the way he's hurt, man, he's going to have something that's going to really freak him up. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a season in the next 3 to 4 years where he's got to miss the whole entire season because he's hurt. We've already seen that happen in his first year. That's what Zaza's job is. The whole reason we signed Zaza was to foul and hurt people. I mean, he hasn't hurt anybody yet. He's just fouled. My voice cracked. Did you hear that? Only Greg Oden because he was hurt. That's my comparison. Not game-wise. Just injury-wise. I guess I could go Andrew Bynum. Embiid's game overall is amazing. Just the injuries is a huge problem. That's the only knock on Embiid. I don't know. I don't think we've ever seen something like that on purpose. I guess you can say purposely Kawhi and Zaza, nothing happened. But I don't know how you purposely break someone's leg. I don't know. I'd have to see it and see what everyone says first, like official-wise. Yeah, Embiid's productive. I'm just talking injuries, man. I'm not talking game-wise. But both those guys, both Oden and Bynum, were out of the league due to injuries. That's the only point I'm making about that. That would be very bad boy. Very bad boy to take someone out like that. Maybe that would be Kyrie Thomas' job since we never play him. Or put Jose Calderon in out there. Get some productive outings of these guys. Excuse me. Oh, you know what they say, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. This case would be leg for leg, so I'd be alright with it. Anything to stop seeing Jose. I'm glad he doesn't play anymore. It's kind of incredible. He stopped playing and we've turned the season around. If only someone would have listened to us earlier in the season. If only. I don't care how bad we bash Casey. He is miles ahead of Stan Van Gundy. Miles. I don't miss Stan Van Gundy at all. And I heard rumors. And, of course, since it's L.A., all the rumors are going to get out. But the Lakers are considering hiring Stan Van Gundy if fired by Luke Walton. I don't know, man. He's not really a leader out there on the floor. I mean, he's kind of smart. I mean, I don't know. He might be a good assistant coach, which is pretty much what he's doing right now. If he is going to be a coach, that's probably why he came here. Because watch the games closely if you haven't noticed this already. I don't know their names, but the two assistant coach, instead of Casey going up there to the half-court line as far as you can go, the assistant coaches are up there telling players what to do. So like you could hear Stan Van Gundy all last season yelling. That's not what Casey's doing. Casey is showing the assistant coaches how to become coaches. So I could see him doing that with Jose. Jose's kind of learning off of that because Dwayne Casey is showing these guys how to become coaches. Did the same thing with Nick Nurse, and that's why Nick Nurse is in Toronto right now. Although, personally, I think Dwayne Casey's better than Nick Nurse. I think Toronto messed up there, just because they're in the same spot they've been since they've had Casey. They haven't improved number-wise, so. But yeah, Dwayne Casey's a great guy to show people how to become coaches. He was younger, though. A lot younger. That was, what, 5 years ago? Man, that was a long time ago. And he was just a runner and gunner, man. He's gone to teams and done well, but he's old, man. He's old. He's not as good as he was. And even back then, he was just a role player. He was all right back in the day. If we would have had that Jose Calderon this season, we wouldn't be knocking him because he was good. I think everyone liked him, and I don't think anyone disliked the signing. I don't think anyone dislikes Calderon. We just don't like the way Casey used him. Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue that one. I'm not mad Casey got Coach of the Year, but he got that just record-wise. Anytime you lose your best player, you have to give that guy Coach of the Year, man, because that team is better than this team that I'm seeing right now. They were more together. They were unselfish. They played defense. They looked amazing. If that Celtics team was playing as well as they did last season, this season, playoffs would have some serious hype around it. But I don't feel like anyone's really talking about Eastern Conference matchups. Everything's pretty much gone out west, which I understand because everyone out in the West has over 42 wins. So, I mean, I get it. The West playoffs are going to be crazy. They're going to be crazy fun to watch. But teams in the East are sneaky good. I don't know if anyone in the East is going to get swept the first round. I mean, as of right now, and this might change day to day, but the Bucks have to play Miami. And Miami is a very tough defensive team. And they are going to be hyped to have Dwayne Wade for one last playoff push. So there might be an upset there. Right now, Toronto's got to play the Nets. I don't trust Toronto in the playoffs at all. But again, that could flip-flop any day of the week, so that could be a different matchup. We got to play the Sixers the way it is right now. Again, 1 game, 2 games, and we're not going to get swept. And then Boston and the Pacers play each other. That might be the most likely for a sweep. Even though I don't think it's going to happen, it's probably the most likely one to get swept. Now, out in the West, right now, the Thunder have to play the Warriors. That's probably going to be a sweep. There's no excuse for the Warriors not to plow their way through like they haven't. Probably their toughest challenge is going to be a healthy Houston Rocket team. Houston's very scary. Chris Paul hasn't been Chris Paul. Injuries. I'm like, he's not been bad, but Harden's just been uncontainable, and they are really deep all of a sudden, and they're just playing really well. I don't really trust Denver. Not knocking Denver, but they're young and unexperienced, and we haven't seen how they're going to perform in playoffs yet. Because playoff basketball is really different basketball, man. Really is. You play so much harder. It slows down. There's not so many 3-pointers being shot. Yeah, you have to play defense. If you can't play defense, you might as well not even make the playoffs because you're not going to do anything. That's what made the Warriors so scary, is because they play defense and they're the most efficient offense. That's why they've been going crazy and winning championships. And it also helps having 4 All-Stars on your team. But they still play basketball the right way. You have to do that in the playoffs. That's why the Spurs were so effective and good. They weren't pretty. They weren't fancy, but they played it the right way. They played defense. They didn't shoot a lot of threes, which there's nothing wrong shooting threes. But taking ill-advised threes and just chucking them up there, that doesn't always work in the playoffs. It rarely does. You're going to have that game where someone goes off, and those are why those series are 4-1, 4-2, because you take a lot of bad shots. When deep down, you should have drove the ball and got the easy 2, because you can score a lot more 2s than you can 3s. I think everyone misinterpret this whole 3-point shooting analytics stat. I think they were trying to say that you can be more efficient from the corner 3. Why would you shoot a mid-range 2 when you can shoot a 3 and get an extra point out of it? If there's open layups, dunks, and even close jumpers, you take those all the time now. You don't just want to shoot 33s a game because you might hit 10 of them. That's not very good. You want to shoot over 40%, especially in the playoffs. Playoffs, there's a lot of post play, a lot of ISOs, just getting buckets. And if you can't score, you can maintain it with defense. So, yeah, he needs to have a huge playoff push for us. Which he's coming into his own. He looks a lot more comfortable in this offense. And it seems like every game now he has a stretch where he takes over part of the game for us. Where he can't miss all of a sudden. Where he's just throwing up stuff and it's going in. And it's beautiful. It's fun to watch. But again, though, playoffs are still like 2 weeks away. That's a lot of time to cool off. But he's fitting in and he's doing his job right now. So, hats off to him. Just got to maintain it. Just got to get open shots. That's all you can do. And plus, he's got experience with Miami. You're right. Exactly right. Him and Blake Griffin are probably 2 of the most respectable guys on the court. Both those guys have had some good playoff pushes and runs. So, probably even Reggie Jackson in OKC had some good ones. So you're going to have to really look on those guys to have some good series. So between Reggie and Blake and Ellington, they're going to have some really good numbers. They're going to have to help lead this team. It's time we see Reggie Jackson step up and be that leader. Because a lot of this pressure is going to be on Reggie. If Reggie doesn't perform well, his time might be done. Probably we will fall to the 7th seed. Only because we still have to play Indiana. And we have to go to OKC. So there's 2 losses right there. Well, most likely losses, okay? Because Indiana's still a tough team. I think we can beat Indiana. But it's going to be a tough fight. OKC, they do not want to be the 8th seed. And I think it's between them and San Antonio. So they do not want to lose any more games. So they are coming at us full force. So they will probably beat us more likely than not. And then we have another road game. I'm not sure where that's at. But road games are tough in general. We got a tough schedule to close things out. So I don't think we're falling all the way to 8th. So that we should win that. But I don't know. We should probably finish. We got 5 games left. 3-2. So we probably lose 2 more games. I have to look. I don't know if that's remaining schedule. So if we only lose 2 games, we should stay in the 6th seed. If we lose 3, we will probably fall to the 7th seed. So that. I was just about to bring that up in a second. We are hot at home. Really hot at home. I didn't realize Indiana was losing that bad, but wow, that's crazy. That's why I think we can win 2 playoff games at home, no matter who we play, because we're a really tough team at home. no matter who we play. Yeah. The C.J. Anderson, I didn't see that one coming, to be honest with you. That came out of nowhere. Probably the last 2 games, probably most of everything's going to be decided. We'll probably rest Blake Griffin if he's back. We might rest Andre or Reggie, depending on how all the seeding is going to work. Because, I mean, there's only so many more games. There's, 5 games left, and all of us are separated by a game and a half to 2.5 games. So, I mean, you play 2 or 3 more games, and you can't statistically beat anyone else in the playoff push. So everything's going to start getting more and more locked. If that makes sense. If you guys know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think I remember you commenting something about getting C.J. Anderson. I'm gonna hold you to that. You better start coming in here with all the right predictions and draft picks and signings and trades we're doing. Because if you don't, you're gonna lose all your credibility. I'm just playing, man. Good job on calling that C.J. Anderson, though. I love the move. Love the move. Cheap, efficient, and a lot of experience. But experience is underrated and undervalued in sports. The thing I love about the CJ signing so much is he probably arguably played with the best running back in the league. I know that's really debatable how you want to call that. But that's going to rub off on Kerryon because Kerryon's going to ask him all this stuff. Because even CJ, when he played in Denver, had some solid seasons. I believe he was there with Peyton Manning, if I'm not mistaken. So the guy has played with some very talented and smart players. And he's a smart player himself. And he said he's already going to get in better shape. So I'm really excited for football. I'm not full of false hope like we've been so many times. Like last season, I'll admit, we were really unrational to think that we're going to the playoffs. We didn't think about them changing playbooks, especially going from the 4-3 to the 3-4. We just expected them to go to the playoffs because Caldwell was 9-7 year in, year out, and constantly had us into that position. The thing I love about Patricia already is he's won big games for us. We beat teams that we never thought we would be able to beat. We beat New England. No one gave us a shot for that. We played the Rams, and we were winning and could have won that game. But you're not going to win them all. The Patriots went 16-0 and lost in the Super Bowl. I mean, you know how rare that is? You're not going to win out. It's virtually impossible. But we showed up to big games, and we gave New England the blueprint to how to beat the Rams. Belichick said he stole Patricia's game plan and adjusted it to where they could use it and beat them. Yeah, but again, though, it wouldn't have changed much. Tomato. We could have beat a lot more teams than what we did, but you didn't. We can go on what ifs all the time. I was just using the Rams for an example because we were in that game. No one expected us to win, so when we lost, it didn't really hurt us. It was just nice to see that we were up to the challenge because we always seemed to fumble and crumble. Wasn't trying to rhyme, but it was just nice to see that. It really was. It was just for years we had the division pretty much locked up, and we lost games that we should have won. We didn't show up. We lost the big games. Played Green Bay. Green Bay would lose. Green Bay wins the division. I mean, how many times have we seen that one? This time, man, it just feels different. It really does. Yeah. What was that? A pass interference or a legal block? But again, San Francisco's really not that good of a team. You should have been in that position in the first place. And we were still learning the new system. So, I mean, that would have been a big game for us to win. But it wouldn't have changed much about the season, to be honest with you. I want to win all 16 games, don't get me wrong. But that wouldn't have changed nothing. It was a long season no matter what. 10 years, yikes. 10 wins would be huge. My realistic expectations, 9. 9-7, win you the division this year. I think we might have been 1 year and done. Not knocking Chicago. That defense is insanely tough, but I'm not bought in on Mr. Trubisky, and they just traded Howard away. I don't know why that happened, but nonetheless, I'm not bought in on Chicago. I'm really not. That defense is going to be tough. They're going to be around 8-8, 9-7. Minnesota, they didn't really improve at all. And Kirk Cousins is a poor man Stafford. And if people hate Stafford all the time, they're really going to hurt Cousins since he's the poor man Stafford. He has all the weapons up there. Green Bay, I'm not terrified of it. Green Bay at all. At all. Nothing about Green Bay scares me. At all. So, I mean, the division, it's wide open, man. It's been that way every year. Is someone else can take it. It's just about getting motivated, not taking games off, and playing the game the right way. Patricia is going to make adjustments game in, game out. I can almost bet $1,000 that players will not be calling out our offensive play calls. That was probably the most embarrassing thing as for me as a Lions fan was week 1, the fucking Jets calling out our plays. That was super embarrassing because they knew everything we were doing. It is. There's going to be a stretch where it does get a little challenging, but I don't think there's anyone on our schedule that's not beatable. We should be able to beat anybody. So, hey. And that's the key to football. Football, you could have the most talented players on the roster, which that's why everyone was kind of worried about the Rams last year because they had pretty much every name in the book. But if you're not bought in and you're not invested to the team, it's not going to work. That's why New England's so effective. Everyone buys into that system, and they chip in and do the dirty work and get some W's. If you don't buy in, it's not going to work. You absolutely have to buy in. That's like a give me. Oh, man. And I think slowly but surely, everyone's starting to buy into this team. I mean, I've said it earlier, just hearing people at press conferences and just listening to Patricia, and he's talking about all the guys just texting him and watching plays and asking them what they should have done. Everyone wants to learn and be effective. They got some good chemistry going on right now, just talking to each other. And when you got a relationship with that with your coach, I seen it on Yahoo this morning that, and this is what makes me really positive about Patricia right now, is that he wants a more direct relationship with the players, which is why he was so good in New England, because he wasn't Belichick. He was a guy that was a player's coach, talked to the players, was friendly with the players. And I feel like coming to Detroit, he kind of stayed away from that. But now that he's coming back to it, we're going to see a lot of that turn around. I really love both moves offensively and defensively. We should be top 15 in both categories, which is middle of the league, I understand, but top 5 defense should be the goal because we got some really good players on defense. How's it going, man? The thing with the defense, the tight ends we got right now, is I really think we got like a red zone offense here. Luke Wilson's a very good, strong run blocker. And Jesse James has got some good, solid hands. He is also a very good run blocker. That's a key to running 2 tight end sets, running the ball. But adding depth and getting another receiving tight end opens up play action, opens up just tons of stuff. We have another. Who's the other tight end? We got Troy Lolo, which I don't know if we will keep him. And we got some guys, but I think we draft one in the second, if not third round, because I'm really strongly leaning towards drafting a defensive player at 8, depending on who's available. And it seems like every mock draft that comes out is totally different. I don't think anyone knows where anyone's falling to, which is kind of strange. Because even last year, there were some draft mocks that had Baker going number 1, and that was kind of like the shock of the draft. But I mean, there was people who call it. It's like every mock draft is different, so there's really like no way to judge how any of this is going. Like, there's no sure lock. There's sure no number 1 pick. We have no idea what Arizona's doing, and it's kind of fun and exciting because it gives us more homework to do because we don't know who's going to be available at 8. Are we trading 8th? Are we moving up? Are we moving down? We don't know. We really don't. And it's stupid and it sounds really stupid what I'm about to say, but it all depends on the first pick. The first pick determines how everything falls, and that was a really stupid way of putting it, but it's true. I know everyone's divided about who they want us to pick, if they want to trade the pick, and that's going to happen every year. The draft pick, though, I trust Quinn. I trust Quinn to get the right piece. Might be a guy we never heard of. Might not be a position that we wanted. But I trust Quinn to do the right thing. And he hasn't strayed us away yet. Everyone that he's drafted has been really efficient and really good. And Bob Quinn we trust. He should run for president because he'd probably be the best president we've ever had. I'm just playing. There's been some good ones. There've been some okay ones. Not getting political here. Bob Quinn's probably one of the best things to happen to the Lions in a long time. A long time. My main goal for the same thing happened with Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was very stale for this team for a minute, but now Barry's there at every game, and he's a big part of this franchise. You need to make things right with Calvin Johnson, even if he doesn't come back and play. Us fans love Calvin. You got to make it right. He's one of the greatest receivers of all time, and he kind of left a sour taste in our mouths. That's just my main goal for the Lions. Just make things right with him, and then make the playoffs. Get everything straight. Because right now, that's still kind of haunting us. You can't move forward in a relationship when you're hurt. You have to make amends before you can move on. You either have to cut the person off. It's kind of how relationships work. You can't go into another relationship with still hurt feelings from another person. You have to move on. So, yeah, man, it's about time for me to go back to work, too. I was just about to wrap it up. So, you guys know how to make lunch breaks go by pretty fast. So, that being said, I haven't plugged anything yet. So, Instagram and Twitter links are in the description, so check those out. Follow me there. Comment stuff there all the time. So, very active on Twitter. I almost said Tinder. Don't want to follow me on Tinder. I don't want to match with you guys. No offense, I just don't go that way. But you know what I meant. But very fun chat. We had some good conversations, talking Pistons and Lions. So we'll keep this up, man. I love doing these. I love answering you guys' questions. Good way to connect with you guys. So that being said, I will see you.